was Toxic Boyo. Major spoilers inbound for The Last of Us Part 2. If you don't want to be spoiled in any capacity about what happens in this game, then do not watch this video any further. With that out of the way, I want to go ahead and talk about Joel, as you could probably tell. As I said way back in my video covering the leaks of this game, I lost pretty much all my excitement for the game, and I did get around to canceling my pre-order. I decided, I was like, I'm going to watch somebody play it, and if watching the playthrough convinces me to play the game, I'll just play it later on in life, I guess. So I've been watching Jacksepticeye play this game. Don't pay attention to the fact that I liked the video. What happened in the game is not his fault. He's doing a fine job. But watching what happened to Joel was annoying. So I'm just gonna we're just gonna go ahead and get started with what happens here. And we're gonna go from there. Let's turn this down a bit. So let's just watch Jack play this scene. Because I have a lot to say, and
So no one came looking for her? For
it's
Abby?
pretty layered, the way that I feel about what happened. So I just want to present things real quick first before I really get into it.
You scared us.
I know. How you guys doing?
We're good. Thanks.
Yeah. Can I talk to you for a minute?
You want to get those saddles off?
No, it's all right. We'll just ride out the storm. Get out of here.
Got any brushes or towel or anything?
You are nothing but lucky.
You have no idea.
The line "You are nothing but lucky." I do want to talk about that because, oof, the universal level ass pull of getting all these characters in the same spot. Oh man.
Don't get electricity in here.
Where the fuck have you been?
There are solar panels on the roof.
Who are these people?
How long y'all been here?
Since yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yep.
What are y'all doing out this way?
Just passing through. You two live nearby?
This is.
We do.
Ugh,
A few hours down the hill.
by about this point in the scene, I was just like, "That's it. This is it."
Should come back with us. Restock before we head out.
Gave the location,
Appreciate it.
and then he's about to name drop. Watch this.
Tom.
Yup.
That's
Hey,
my brother.
pregnant lady.
Joe.
Everybody gets all tense.
Oh no.
Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
No, 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 no.
Nora? All clear?
He's out. Put him against the wall.
Tommy!
Look at his leg.
Get off me!
Look at the.
Oh, his fucking leg.
Okay, so this is about 2 hours and some change into the game, right? I want to talk about how Joel and Abby meet because Abby got herself into this huge mess, right? And then here comes Joel to save the day. All that good stuff, and then they survive together. Like,
Oh, I'm pressing.
Joel shows up as
Oh,
a
I'm
little
pressing.
Deus Ex Machina, right? And I was thinking, why are they both there, right? Because it's easy to think like, okay, this is clearly where Tommy and Joel were stationed, and since Abby was headed in that direction, hoping to find someone that can take her to Joel, then she just got very lucky. But you just go forward for a bit. Bop-a-da-bop. And you find out hold on.
You're supposed to be on patrol.
There's a blizzard outside.
Is that weed?
Why are you here?
People are counting on you. You get that? What we do matters.
Well, then why aren't you at the fucking lookout?
Because Tommy and Joel didn't show up.
So Tommy and Joel didn't show up. So context clues, all that stuff. You think that Tommy and Joel were trying to head back, maybe to the next outpost on their way back to Jackson or something like that. They weren't where they were supposed to be, which I am assuming is the lookout that Abby was headed to. earlier in the game. So she's headed to this place from one angle. Tommy and Joel are headed somewhere else from a completely different angle. How on earth did they just happen to converge there? Right? Tommy and Joel aren't where they're supposed to be. Abby is heading somewhere hoping to find someone that can take her to Joel. How lucky do you have to get? Right? And then the fact that Ellie just finds the cabin almost instantly.
I knew it.
Like, upon
First
looking.
trailer for this game.
Like, boom, just like, here's the place I need to go. Like, it's really lucky that Abby and Owen and everybody were posted up where they were in relation to where Jackson, or like where the camp in Jackson is. It's just the fact that they got placed so relatively close together by the universe is absolutely absurd to me. And then for everything that leads to him getting taken out the way he does, it feels very out of character to me. That Joel would even stop and save Abby, because at the beginning of the first game, there was just a family that was stranded on the side of the road, and Tommy's like, we can help them. Sarah's like, we can help them. Joel's like, they're not our problem. So he had a daughter then, has a surrogate daughter now. I don't see what changed in the character to make him be like, yeah, we're trying to get away from like 50,000 infected, but we're going to stop what we're doing. We're going to stop everything and try to help this person. And then for Joel to walk into a room of people he knows is armed because they're all surviving, and just let himself get surrounded like this. He's just standing in the middle of the room with his guard completely down. Why would he do that? Like, I understand him being here because he just literally doesn't have a choice. He's not going to make it back to Jackson or to any place with the infected and the blizzard going on at the same time. But why is he so relaxed? Why is he acting like there's just no chance that anything could happen? Especially because he knows he's crossed a lot of people. Knowing that is why he was so careful and cautious in the last game. That's why he didn't let his guard down. He didn't stop to help people. He didn't trust anybody. He knows nobody can be trusted in the setting, especially when you have a past like his. So to even suggest to me that he would just stand here completely defenseless, basically unarmed. He's in his 50s. He has survived close to 30 years in the apocalypse by being smart. And this is the most stupid, out of character thing I've ever seen from him.
Like you heard of us or
Like,
something.
the fact, like, he has to look back and forth to see everybody. He should have just, like, had his back against the wall or something like that. Then he could take in all of his surroundings. He doesn't even notice that Abby has a pup shotty until it's too late. And I hate this so much. I hate the way he ends up going out.
You won't
Just
die,
beaten
right?
to death by a golf club. And this was in the leaks, right? This was in the leaks. And it turned out to be true. So I have to assume that everything else in those leaks was true too.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up.
He doesn't even get to say any last words to her. Joel and Ellie are not even on screen at the same time before this point. There's the flashback type of cutscene at the beginning of the game that takes place a little bit after the first game. But as far as like at this point in time, the last time Joel and Ellie have seen each other, Ellie was mad at Joel for punching Seth for being a homophobe. And then just
Please stop.
her face looks weird here.
Please don't shoot.
And then
Joel, please get up.
blood shooting out of his head, brain on the. This is the most unceremonious death I have ever seen for a character like this. I said a while ago, I was like, once this game got announced, I was like, Joel will not make it out. Because A, he's old. B, it's supposed to like show you that the world is still depressing and very bleak. And C, it's probably going to be character development for Ellie. Maybe he'll die before she ever confronts him about knowing that there was that he lied to her about the cure and all that stuff at the end of the game. And I was right. I figured Like they never talked about that before this point in the game. But I kept trying to watch the rest of this game, but I honestly I can't. I'm tapped out. I can't do this game. But like I said, similar to Luke Skywalker, I had accepted that they were going to die. These characters I knew weren't going to make it out of the story, but I thought they'd go out heroically at least, because people keep defending this type of death, like, oh, life isn't always fair, not everybody gets a ceremonious death, not everybody gets to go out like a legend or a hero or something like that. But Tess did. Tess got to go out heroically, and before he met Ellie, Tess was the most important person in Joel's life. Like I said, I kind of wanted Joel to have to be the last line of defense between a horde of infected and Ellie, and he just dies like that. He gets overrun, overtaken, overpowered, and he just doesn't make it out. But this, I feel, is character assassination. Like, I understand the power and the gravity of death in fiction, but a character's death should A, be tailored to the character, and B, service not only just like the story that it's telling right there in the moment, but it should enforce the overall world and the story therein and affect things greatly. And you could say that about this game. Obviously, Joel's death is the catalyst for the plot, but a character like Joel, the main character of the last game, somebody we spent 15 plus hours playing as, someone whose every emotion we could feel over the course of the game, someone we cried for, someone that we cared very, very deeply for, someone whose decisions in the last game are still talked about today, because would we have done differently, or would we have done what he did? Could you actually take the risk of maybe, just maybe, some random scientists in Salt Lake City know how to harvest a cure from Ellie's brain? You don't even know that. You have no guarantee that it'll work for sure, so you have to follow your own gut instinct and protect her, because nobody told you that she was going to die at the end of this. Someone like Joel deserves more than what he got, because up to this point in the game, like him showing up here, like in this scene, it's his first real appearance in the game. Like I said, I don't count that flashback cutscene at the beginning of the game, because A, it's only like 10 minutes, and you only play as Joel for like 2 minutes because you're just riding to camp, and then the cutscene takes over. It's kind of like a Red Dead type environment, which I actually think that's pretty cool. But it's like you don't even see Joel until the part of the game where he just dies. Like, Joel's death deserves to be more than a catalyst. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one that feels like that. I really hope I'm not. I shouldn't be. You're nothing but like I said, it's ridiculously convenient that all these characters ended up in the same place at the same time. But like,
Hey!
You heard of it?
No, no!
I spent the entire time watching this scene convinced that this was like
it's
some sort of
fucking
like
leg.
hallucination or fantasy or something like that. I was like, there's no way Joel is going out like this. Not like this. Not a character like Joel. If Tommy had gone out like this, because they were like they got their wires crossed or something like that, they thought Tommy was to blame. Tommy gets taken out. Joel and Ellie use that as the catalyst. That's more acceptable. I still don't like it. I don't like a character's death being used as nothing but a catalyst, but I would more accept it being a side character than Joel. Because A, obviously, Joel's taken out of the story for the rest of the game. You don't get to play as him. I don't think Ellie is as interesting in this game as Joel was in the last game. She's definitely not as layered. There's not as much nuance to the character. And honestly, she just kind of comes off as way too bullish in this game, and I just don't jive with her as well as I did last time. She's just kind of lost all her charm, to me at least. Like, she seems very vapid now. And please don't come at me and say, oh, you just don't like her because she's lesbian. I knew she was lesbian before I played the first game. But, and I feel like this is a product of the game's problem, right? Like the main issue that I have with this game is this need to have this like grand antagonistic force, like to have an actual villain. Because the last game had antagonists. There was David, there was, it ended up being Marlene. There were the Fireflies. You did have to watch out for that sort of thing, but there was no like bad guy. Not like in Uncharted where you have Lazarevich or Navarro, or I don't remember from the third game, but in the fourth game you have Rafe. You don't have like an actual genuine villain in the first game. So for some reason they needed that in this game, and in order to get you to not like the character, to understand that this is a villain, they have to do something so dastardly right away that you hate them. And then you have to continue playing as Abby later on in the game. I get that. It's supposed to make you angry, but I don't know if the level of angry that a lot of people are is what you wanted out of this, Neil. Talking directly to you, Neil Druckmann. You're not going to watch this video. Like, I don't want to blindly bash this game. I don't want to just hate on it because I haven't played it, but I've been watching a playthrough of it from Jack because I love Jack, and I just wanted to see how the game was going to play out. You can say I don't have the right to judge this game because I'm not playing it myself. I don't care. I can still absorb a story through a playthrough. It's story, it's narrative, it's character-driven decisions, and things like that. I'm not going to go into the gameplay because I don't know. I haven't experienced it yet. But this is disgusting. And it screams to me that there was no need for a second game, because I was curious way back. I was like, where do you actually go? Because you already did the whole cure plot. So I was thinking, I was like, maybe Ellie decides to confront Joel about what happened because she finds out through word of mouth or something like that that I don't know, like there's more people that are immune and they're trying to harvest the cure themselves, or there's like a place where she's decided she's gonna leave because she doesn't trust Joel like that anymore, or something like that. Like, something should happen with Ellie that connects to the last game that drives the plot that way, because it is supposed to be the story of Joel and Ellie. Or like I said, maybe Tommy gets killed or something like that and Joel and Ellie leave together. Or if you have to have this antagonistic force, that's the way they could have done that. But I still don't think there needed to be this major like villain shadow type thing in the game. And I honestly do think there are more organic ways to continue the story from the last game. Maybe Ellie wants to join the Fireflies again, or maybe someone close to Marlene kidnaps Ellie and Joel has to go save her. Something like that. Like, they're like, we're gonna get this cure out of you whether you like it or not. Something still connected to her immunity. Something that still builds on the last game. Because this just feels very tacked on. Like, if story A is like, okay, we're journeying to the west for the sake of trying to find a cure for the infection, and story B is, oh, someone connected to someone that died in the last game kills Joel, and now Ellie goes to Seattle. She journeys to the west again, goes to Seattle, and is looking for vengeance. It just doesn't feel like it flows organically. And honestly, for Joel, you can substitute any character, because up to this point, you still don't know who Abby is. So it feels very much like some rando just killed your favorite character. Like, if you're playing God of War 5, and Kratos is gone for 2 hours, shows up and gets killed by, not even Thor, because that's too cool, gets killed by somebody like Fandral, or something like that, I don't know. Something stupid. You'd be upset. Like, it's just, it feels so cheap and unearned. Like, there's a lot of character deaths that I feel could have been avoided and didn't add to the story at all. In Naruto, Neji's death, completely avoidable, could have just used an air rotation. Dragon Ball Z, just about any time Goku's ever died, doesn't seem like it had to happen. But Vegeta's deaths, except for in Resurrection F, have all serviced the plot in some way. They've all pushed the story forward. That's what I want out of a character death, especially with someone like Joel. I want it to enforce the narrative meaningfully. Like in the third Uncharted game, when Victor gets shot, but it turns out to just be part of Nathan's hallucination. If that had actually been how Sully had just died, nobody would have liked it. Nobody. Like, what's a really good video game death? You know what? Modern Warfare 2 has a really good, like, surprise death. At least I think it's 2. Yeah, it's 2. Because it's Shepard. He's the one that does it. But it's like, you can use surprise deaths. You can use that sort of thing. But, like, here, this early into the game, before Joel has done anything meaningful, before he's had a chance to impact the story whatsoever, it just feels like torture porn. It feels like violence and bleakness and hopelessness for the sake of it and nothing more. It doesn't feel like it serves any sort of actual purpose apart from giving Ellie a thing to do for the rest of the game. And I'm sure he pops back up in hallucinations or something like that. Troy Baker's far too expensive to have such a small role in the game. But it's like, I don't care. You know? If a character appears after their death, like in some sort of dream space or something like that, I only care if they went out in a meaningful way. The way Iron Man died, I love it. The way Black Widow died, I love it. The way Superman died, cheap and unearned. You know, completely avoidable situation. He did not have to die. Anyone else could have just speared Darkseid, Doomsday, and everybody would have lived. Also, if it weren't for Diana cutting off his hand, he wouldn't have had a bone to skewer Superman with. So, I feel like I've given enough good examples of a meaningful death versus a non-meaningful death for you to understand that Joel's death is not meaningful. All it does is just, like I said, it just gives Ellie a thing to do. Catalyst is not a good reason for a character to die. And like I said earlier, I knew Joel would die. I did not expect him to survive this story. But this is not it. This is not good enough. This is horrible. Like, I'm sorry. Not like that. Not like that at all. Oh, man. You can talk about spoilers and all that stuff in the comments if you want to. I'm not going to play this game. Probably ever. If you share my frustration about how out of character this was, how wasteful of what could have been an impactful and meaningful moment that this turned out to be, that's all good. You can go ahead and do that. I'm not going to get mad at you. I usually do get mad about spoilers, but this is a special situation. Yeah. I'm not going to review this game, obviously, but I'm not happy. But I don't want to just sit here and complain for 45 minutes, so I'll let you go. I'll see you later.